Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So today's upload is getting uploaded on Halloween. So that's the last day of October, and and besides it being Halloween, it's time to talk about the new month that's upcoming, November, and I want to discuss why I think it will be very cold and very snowy November. I've done this for September as well. It didn't really go as planned. September, my forecast was pretty far off, but that's just how it was. There are, mistakes that meteorologists make, and some meteorologists don't want to admit to their mistakes. I do. That was a complete flop and failure. But this time for November, my confidence is through the roof. And I'm pretty sure, I got October basically spot on the temperatures, so I may make a video about that. Also, there's been some people telling me that I should be more focusing about the severe weather in the eastern U.S. Or guess what? Well, I've been absolutely busy with school or college applications, early decision, early action, everything of that sort. And then there's a snowstorm. I mean, it snowed 5 inches here, you guys. You don't tell me what I do on this channel. For those, most 99% of people don't because they have courtesy and respect, but there's just that 1% that do and still think that because they'll leave a comment, I'll do what they think they will do. Now, I decide what to do, and this is my channel. I'm not trying to come off as being rude. I'm just saying to that again. It's basically no one that basically it's like 1%, not even. It's like the 0.5% of like my subscribers do that, which isn't a lot. Even probably us and that. But today again we'll be talking about the why November may be very cold. So consider subscribing to this channel, consider liking this video, consider leaving a nice comment if you enjoy this, and especially since I have very high confidence in this forecast. Especially since this isn't one of those forecasts where I agree or I think something and the other forecasts don't, like the NOAA or National Weather Service or the Weather Channel. I mean, basically, this is all concurrent throughout all the sources of weather. The Weather Channel thinks it will be cold, NOAA does as well, and the Climate Prediction Center. All of that's good stuff is in agreement. So just leads me to think it will be one of the coldest and snowiest Novembers we've had in a while. So let's go through just the models first off. I want to show you basically. Let's just look at the temperature anomalies, because that shows us exactly how cold it will be below average. You can see the blue, expands across much of the country. Here's the date, Saturday, November 2nd. I won't be tracking it through. I just want to demonstrate to you how cold it may be and how little relief there will be for the north and really eastern U.S. The only places that will see some relief is the southwest. But look, we see one through Monday, November 5th, Tuesday, November 5th, Wednesday, November 6th, and we see maybe a possible warm up, but then another cool down, and then we may see a warm up somewhere we're trying to get in. We see an even bigger cool down, and then we could see it will just be constant on constant repeat. It's like if someone clicked the replay button on the weather that is happening right now, kind of looped it and put like a 10-hour version of it. Seriously, this could go on for the whole entire month of November. What comes after it, we don't know. December may actually turn out to be warmer than average, but November, just looks downright cold. So this November looks very chilly. If you look at the 6 to 10 day outlook, well, basically we know that through the 6th it will be very cold with this pattern change right after this big snowstorm. But through the 6th and the 10th, which is already the first third of the month, the 10th of November, just look at those anomalies. That is just so darn cold. Or, the confidence that they have, it's just ridiculous. And that's going to bring chilly temperatures all the way down to the Gulf Coast. The precipitation is above average in those locations, so snow may be pretty prevalent as well. And you may be thinking, oh well, 8 to 14 day outlook, probably some change. Not at all. Basically the same thing. Like if they took a screenshot of it and just plastered it back onto the 8 to 14 day outlook, and now this takes us through through half the month at the very, very least. And you can see they are showing very, very chilly conditions across the similar locations, like the eastern and northern U.S. And again, the precipitation won't be really a big deal, as usually with cold air it will be below average. But again, it does not have to be above average precip with cold air in order for it to be snowy. As long as it's cold really and it's close to average, could be below average precip, it could still end up being snowy, because most of the precip across the U.S. even in November still falls as rain. So if you versus seeing 3 inches of rain in November, and instead of saying three, that's your average, let's just say, and you see 2 inches, and out of 2 of those inches of precipitation, 15 is snow. That's way above average. As most locations in November don't see 15 inches of snow unless you live further towards the north. But I just wanted to give you kind of a demonstration as why that works out. So we know how that plays out with the below average precip still being below average snowfall. So very interesting scenario. We could be looking. The models really right now aren't showing any snowstorms. If I quickly look back at just the GFS, I mean, they're not showing major snowstorms. They're showing just mainly scattered stuff, really, kind of like fronts and lake effect. Not really big storms, maybe towards the end of the forecasting period, but mainly across southeastern Canada. You could see in the Quebec, they could really be getting hammered by some heavy snow. And if you look at some of the total snowfall, I mean, you could see very heavy snowfall amounts across the Quebec area, but notice across the northern U.S. also some pretty decent amounts as well. Nothing, insane, nothing record-breaking, but definitely on the snowier side of things. And speaking of snow, I think I mentioned this already. We got around 4 or 5 inches of snow here in Chicago, not downtown. We live a little bit northwest of it. And you could see that. I mean, it was very. I mean, it was insane. The morning was snow free, relatively speaking, and then we saw the snow really pick up in intensity around 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, and then we got some lake effect enhancement, which brought very, very, very heavy snowfall rates, about 1 to 2 inches an hour. And I mean, it's gonna be downright cold tonight, 25 degrees here in Chicago. So definitely bringing a end to all sorts of growing, even if it's a cold hardy vegetable, that's basically not gonna survive it. But I want to also show you something interesting. As many, look towards the Weather Channel for their daily forecast. I always advise to look at several sources, but most people just like looking at the Weather Channel and look at this. Just look at this. Look, November, most below average across the northern plains. Below average. I mean, just I don't think they've ever, the Weather Channel has ever put out a monthly outlook, for like a certain month, so below average for the U.S. ever in their time frame of doing this. I mean, seriously, look, they've put out, way above average conditions for a good portion of the country, but they have rarely put out such what they're showing right here for November. You can see most below, and then all the way down to the south and east. And this is, I agree with 100%. And I think that's exactly how it'll look like. Maybe a little bit warmer, maybe a little bit cooler, but I think they have a very good idea of it. And that just goes to show you that if the Weather Channel shows something like this, when they're usually warm biased, it's pointing towards something. Not always, as they may be, indicating something cold when it's actually warm, like they did last December. I think that they absolutely butchered it, their forecast, but it's not perfect. But overall, very, very good job, I think. As again, we basically have a guarantee, like 100% guarantee, money back, that the first 15 days of November will be below average for a good chunk of the country, excluding the Southwest, which, if you've been paying attention, I've been, claiming that it will be below average, but I never claimed that the Southwest would be below average. I always, said, excluding the Southwest, I think the rest of the country will be below average, and even parts of the Northwest, maybe above average. Or below average. It shows here that they're above average in the Weather Channel forecast. Not to the greatest extent they show, but I think it definitely may be a little bit chilly for them. Look for those locations as well. Kind of like if it's warmer, if it does turn out to be warmer, it's gonna be a back and forth between warmer and cooler and warmer. Not necessarily not necessarily an all-out warmth month that is known for its above-average temperatures or below-average temperatures. It's kind of going to be a back and forth, which is for most locations during most months, but for the north, I think this time around it'll be basically, as I showed you with those models, just constant harassment from the polar vortex and Arctic blasts coming from the north, which will lead to more miserable scenes like we've had over the past week. And or with the severe weather even across the east, the district capital area, or the snow across the Midwest, which just came in record amounts, especially here across Chicago. Previous record of snow in Chicago was 0.2 tenths of, like 2/10 of an inch, and now again the record is 4 inches. So very, very, very interesting, and I think we're going to be seeing more of this throughout this winter, and that is again due to that. One of the things, very few things, is like that neutral winter pattern, which will lead to colder conditions across the north. And basically, I mean, we're seeing this right now with the jet stream, what the neutral winter pattern is doing across the U.S. across November, and you can see it is warmer and wet across the southern portion of the country, and it's colder and drier and snowier across the north and east and northern country, northern U.S. And if we were to look at the ocean analysis, you could see that warm blob of water, that warm mass of water, and you can see that it's above average. That would also contribute to the jet stream kind of doing what the neutral pattern does best, at bringing cold conditions to the eastern and northern U.S. So very strong indications of a pretty cold winter. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Consider liking the video, consider subscribing to the channel, and I'll catch you all guys in the next episode. See ya. Bye.